Very good. So, this session we want to talk about the different internal analysis. So, strengths, weaknesses, company's resources and capabilities. What basically uh, brings in competitive advantage? What are the strengths, internal and strengths for a company that brings in success and you know, competitive advantage. So firms achieve a strategic competitiveness and earn above average returns when their core competencies are effectively acquired, bundled, and leveraged. So over time, the benefits of any value creating a strategy can be duplicated by competitors. So basically, competitive advantage of companies are brought in uh, by their core competencies, and they should be those core competencies that we have talked about previously. Uh, they should be effectively acquired, so they should gain those, then they should bundle them together and then leverage them. So uh, uh, the benefits of value creating a strategy can be duplicated because so a lot of times when you have those value creating strategies, other companies can easily copy them. So that's one of the problems that you would face when you have competitive advantage and you're working so hard and gaining them and sustaining them, but a lot of times other companies could be copying them as well. So sustainability of a competitive advantage is a function of the rate of core competency uh, and because of the environmental changes. So environmental change sometimes brings in core competence. So or can make the core competencies go away because nature can bring in and environment can bring in changes that it's beyond your control, and because of that, uh, you know, those core competencies will change. Availability of substitutes for the core competence. So basically, for competitive advantage to be sustainable, there the number of substitutes or alternatives that are there, and you could substitute it with other alternatives. The more it is possible, the less uh, valuable or the less uh, beneficial is that uh, competitive advantage. So you want to have a competitive advantage is that there are not many alternatives for it. You want a competitive advantage that is unique and it's solely used for, uh, you know, for your company. And then the difficulty that competitors have in duplicating or imitating your core competency. So a lot of times competitors have difficulty in copying that. So we just talked about that one of the problems that there is that the competitive advantage of your company can be copied easily by your competitors, and that's not what you want. You want a competency that is not easily copied by other competitors. So you can see here outcomes from external and internal environmental analysis. So we have to examine and analyze the internal and external environmental analysis to get some idea how our company is doing. So by studying the external environment, firms identify what they might choose to do. So what's the benefit of doing an external environment analysis? So by doing that, firms mostly identify they might choose to do, what they might want to consider doing in the future. So that's when we do an external analysis. And then we have, by studying the internal environment, firms determine what they can do. So the internal is for you to understand your capability and ability to do something. So it's like, first of all, the external analysis gives you a perspective and understanding to know what you might choose to do. And when you decide on that, what you might choose to do is different from what you really can do at the end of the day. So the internal analysis gives you a clear picture of your capabilities, of what you can do, because there are a lot of things that you want to do perhaps, but within your capabilities and resources that you have available to you, there are only a certain number of things that you can do with all your resources. So those are two different things. And then examine unique resources, capabilities, and competitive competencies, which are sustainable competitive advantage. Okay. And the context of internal analysis. The effective analysis of a firm's internal environment requires. So for an analysis, especially an internal analysis, to be effective, there should be some factors considered. So first of all, you should foster an organizational setting in which experimentation and learning are expected and promoted. So this type of analysis should basically foster and help grow an organizational setting which experimentations and learnings are promoted, are encouraged. So this is something we want to consider perhaps when we want to increase the level of internal analysis. You got to welcome it. You got to be ready for it. You got to be expecting it and promoting it to your staff. Then using a global mindset is really important. We've talked about it in previous sessions that nowadays we're not just dealing with the market that they live in next to our company. Nowadays our rivals and competitors are from anywhere in the world. So because of the internet and e-commerce, a lot of things are possible that they were impossible in the past. So you got to have a global mindset, and then thinking of the firm as a bundle of heterogeneous resources and capabilities that can be used to create an exclusive market position. So you need to consider your firm as the bundle of those resources and capabilities, and those capabilities and resources should be used to create an exclusive market position. So you want to create a position in the market that brings you competitive advantage. So by using those resources that you have and those core competencies, you want to create a position for yourself in the market that is unique to you, and it's not possible for other rivals to copycat. So just a nice chart here, components of in internal analysis. As you can see, we start from resources. First of all, we need to start from somewhere, and we start from the resources that are available to our company. And as you know, those could be intangible or tangible resources. So tangible being those that are easily seen, uh, probably physical, and intangible are those that are not like easily seen. Those are abstract. And then capabilities. So using your resources, and then you have some certain capabilities. Your company, your firm has certain capabilities and possibilities, and then out of that, you will end up having some certain core competencies. These are unique to your company because of that resources and those capabilities. You will gain some core competencies. So discovering core competencies for criteria of sustainable advantages. So as you can see here, you want to discover those core competencies because there are a lot of companies out there that they do have certain resources, they do have certain capabilities, but they don't help them translate these into core competencies. They don't exactly know what their core competencies is. And then as you can see here, we have the value chain analysis when you want to do outsourcing and everything. So you want to have a clear idea of the core competencies of your company. And then all of that being said, they all translate into your competitive advantage. That's what you want to get. And this will give you a strategic competitiveness. So this type of analysis is very common in the firms because you start from your resources and then look at your capabilities and then find out how these will help you get to core competencies, and then you probably in this process have to discover your core competencies because a lot of times you don't have a clear picture of those core competencies of our firm. And then later on, that will help you get competitive advantage and strategic competitiveness. Okay. So creating value. We've been talking about this idea that uh, we are trying to create value, like the companies and what they're competing for is not necessarily about the pricing or the other issues anymore. It's just on a simple fact that they are trying to create value for customers. So by exploiting their competencies or competitive advantage, firms can create value. So value could be measured by a product's performance characteristics or product attributes for which consumers are willing to pay. So, so there are many different ways for companies to create those values. There are many different ways to measure those values that are created in the firms. Some of the ways that you can measure if your company is doing well, if you're on the right track, is that check your products. Check your products and see how they perform, how well they're designed, and how they sustain survive the challenges that are faced, like certain, let's say you're producing certain softwares, you want to check your products, the outcome products, and see if they have any bugs in them, if they're if they work and run properly, or you need a lot of maintenance and all that. So checking your own products, that's the key. A lot of companies, they just don't bother to check what they create, what they make, and they just happen to sell it. And that's not a good idea. You got to know exactly how it feels like experiencing your products or services. So everybody should have some understanding of the performance of their products. and then the product attributes for which customers are willing to pay. So there are certain attributes for the customers that are important, and they are willing to pay whatever is needed to gain those. So you got to make sure that you are including those attributes in your products. So having a good understanding of the customer's needs and what they are willing to pay for, because a lot of times there are needs for the customers, but those are not those kind of needs that customers have priority. Those that they have priority are, you know, certain other attributes, and those are those that customers are willing to pay whatever price is required to get them. So you gotta understand your customers as well. Firms create value by innovatively bundling and leveraging their resources. So innovation is also important, and especially the way that you innovate to bundle and leverage and put together all the resources and capabilities is very important as well. Please stop me anytime if you have any questions or anything that you need to be re-explained. Please just write it down in the chat box, or you can just raise your hand and talk if you want, and we can just re-explain what we just explained. So creating competitive advantage. Core competencies in combination with product market position are the firm's most important source of competitive advantage. So those core competencies that we've been talking about are very, very important for a firm. So don't think that just those are other stuff that you need to do, and they don't have that much of an importance. But basically, those are the most important sources for competitive advantage. So it's not that you just say, okay, let's understand our core competencies, and if you don't, it's fine. It's actually not fine. You definitely need to understand them, because they are one of the major factors helping you to have your competitive advantage. I mean, the whole idea of business strategy is, if you will, is to help you create competitive advantage. And it's important to understand that one of the most important factors in getting that competitive advantage is understanding your core competencies. Okay, can everybody hear me loud and clear? Because I want to make sure that everybody can hear me. Okay, that's good. Yeah, so those of you that you can't, I would say your volume on your computer or your speaker is not to the max. Please check that. So thank you. So core competencies of a firm, in addition to its analysis of its general industry and competitor environments, should drive its selection of strategies. So understanding your core competencies, doing research and experiment to get a clear picture of your core competencies, and also analysis of general industry and competitors' environment, they all together should help you select the best strategies possible and useful to you. So the challenge of internal analysis, there are always challenges when you want to do internal analysis. So those challenges are strategic decisions in terms of the firm's resources, capabilities, and core competencies are non-routine. So The strategic decisions, we talked about this in the beginning of the course. We said the business strategy is basically about making decisions. That's why it's only defined and used by the top management of the company, and basically they sort of write the strategy and get it to the firm. So it is not just a routine decision making. Let's say every day you have to do something, and there's just a decision made to make that possible. It's for strategic decisions. They are not routine. You're challenged by something, and you got to come up with a strategy. You got to make a decision. You got to consider. You got to do external and internal analysis and understand where you stand, and then make a decision. So that decision doesn't happen every day. You don't get the same challenge every day and then make the same decision and say, okay, this is our business strategy. For business strategy is like we have economic crash, like companies are about to go bankrupt. They have to make a fast decision using all these and make a difference. So, I mean, going bankrupt was an extreme example, but just to give you some idea that the challenges that we are talking about are those challenges that are not happening every day. It's not like a routine challenge and you just do something and you do it every day the same. You're talking about those that nobody would think this is going to work, and you made a decision and consider all your internal and external analysis, and you ended up successful. They're having ethical implications. So those core competencies, you gotta always consider ethical concern. You gotta be ethical when making decisions. Now, like one simple example I want to just bring in was the one I just had in the previous sections. You know, a lot of companies, they can just copycat each other, but there are a lot of ethical issues in copying other companies, you know, products, and that's not ethical. So probably that's something you gotta consider. And then significantly influences the firm's ability to earn above average returns. So for your company to be successful financially, you know, we have been talking about these, you know, internal analysis. So what is it good for? It actually is good for it because it also brings you return on investment, like it gives you profit. So it's not that you just do some internal analysis for no reason. You spend money and time, and then you end up just getting nothing out of it, even financially. So it brings you financial return. So this is not an investment that you say, okay, it's just a long-run investment and there's nothing to it. But there is, and one of the benefits you get is a financial return. Then to develop and use core competencies, manager must have. So some of the characteristics of managers, I mean, we do have a course called Leadership in Organizations, and over there we talk about leadership in details, management and all that, and the differences and how it's going to work. But just to give you a simple example or explanation, what is the role of manager when it comes to core competencies? It's a very important role. So the manager is supposed to have courage. It should be courageous because, as he said, it's decision making involved. In order for you to make a decision, especially in that time, that is not a routine, it's something out of the blue, and your managerial position will help you, you know, make the decision. But you have to have the courage to make that decision also. Then you're gonna have self-confidence, integrity, Integrity is very important. A lot of managers, they just think of themselves and benefit to them rather than the whole firm together. So this is important. You got to consider what is good for the firm, what is good for your company, not for you. Because if it's you, then the whole thing is going to break down. It's not about you. It's about the company that you work for and you're representing. And then, so integrity is very important. And then the capacity to deal with uncertainty and complexity. So there are a lot of times that you're uncertain. You're not sure whether you're going the right way, right routes that you are following and all that. So that uncertainty is and complexity is all around. And then willingness to hold people and themselves accountable for them. So accountability is really important. A lot of companies, they just care to get the customer, have them buy their products or services, and then just forget about it. But it shouldn't be the case. You got to be responsible for the problems your customers are going to experience. You got to be responsible for those problems, and you got to be accountable. So this is very, very important when it comes to having a successful core competency. So resources, capabilities, and core competencies. So as you can see here, we have tangible resources. This is just the chart we talked about. We just are going to highlight it. We have the resources, tangible or intangible, then capabilities. These will translate into your core competencies, and then we will discover our core competencies on top of that as well. So what are resources? We've been talking about resources, and you've got to make sure that you understand what is resources. Basic resources are the source of a firm's capabilities. So when we talk about resources, we're talking about those capabilities of the firm and their source, where they come from. Then are broad in scope. So resources, you have a big scope. It's not just a limited, source of capability that you have. It's a big picture. It's much broader than just one single capability. It then covers spectrum of individual, social, and organizational phenomena. So they should cover a range of individual, social, and organizational incidents and phenomena. And then finally, alone do not yield a competitive advantage. So just having a resource does not necessarily give you any competitive advantage. So there's more to it. Some people think if they do have, the resources, and that is all it takes to them, they can be successful. But the thing is, it's not true. By having the resources only, you won't get any competitive advantage. That's why a lot of businesses, a lot of firms are not successful, because they don't understand. It's not just about resources, how you deal with them, how you create that competitive advantage out of those resources. So you got to remember the destination you are going and what you want to do, rather than just where you are and what you can do. And you need that competitive advantage. So in order to get that, you need to be able to, use those resources and get something. Then resources are a firm's assets, including people and value of its brand name. So one other definition of resources is that it's the firm's assets. So assets are, part of the assets are the people that you have on your company. Those are your resources. And represent inputs into a firm's production process, such as capital equipment, skills of employees, brand names, financial resources, and talented managers. So all of these, okay, are inputs for the firm's production. So a broad in scope, going back to resource, is it means that it's it's a bigger definition of that resource. Let's say if you have an employee and that certain employee is skilled and he has certain knowledge in your company. I mean, that is part of the resources available to you, but you just don't want to focus and pinpoint on that single individual and say that's our resource. For resources, normally we use a broader scope. So instead of just an individual in your firm, you focus on your personnel, the people working in your company, and see generally what are the skills they have available to them. Let's say, for example, you offer certain trainings, you offer Six Sigma program, or you offer other programs, and those are available to your employees. So you can say that that is our resources, but you cannot say that just one single employee has, certain availability, and because that you have the resources. Okay. So I hope I could answer your question regarding um, the broad scope, Mr. Mohammed. Okay. Then we have tangible resources and intangible resources. We've been talking about it. So some examples of tangible resources are financial resources, and then like physical resources, or technological resources, organizational resources. And then when it comes to intangible resources, we have human resource, innovation resources, and reputation resources. Okay. So as you can see, the intangible resources are not necessarily, uh, you know, felt or seen. These are like abstract, more of an abstract terms, like human resource, innovation. You can't see your innovation, but you can experience it, you know. And then reputation, like the brand name or image and all that. So more on tangible resources. So financial resources. Some of the financial resources are the firm's borrowing capacity. For you being able to borrow or extend credit and get credit from the creditors, that's part of your financial capabilities, the firm's ability to generate internal funds. So for you to either generate those funds or to bring in capital and funds from other places, and particularly lenders, the amount and level of bringing all those capital in is called financial reserve. Then organizational resources, the firm's formal reporting structure and its formal planning, controlling, and coordinating system. So the firms are able to formally report structures, and then their planning and controlling. So these all together will create your tangible resources as well. Then you have physical resources. Okay. You have physical resources and sophistication and location of the firm's plant equipment. So where your plant and your site is based, like their that plant's sophistication and all those equipment that you have is part of your physical resources. Access to raw materials is part of your resources. So all those materials that you bring in, like inbound logistics into your company, is access to raw materials. And then technological resources. So by technological resources, we're talking about stuff like technology such as patents, trademarks, copyrights, and trade secrets. Okay. Then talking about intangible resources rather than tangible. So for intangible, we talked about human resource, like their knowledge, like your human resource knowledge and trust and skills and managerial capabilities, organizational routines. These are all abstract resources that you have. And then innovation resources like ideas, scientific capabilities, or capacity to innovate. So that is also part of your intangible resources, like how well you can come up with ideas, like you generate new ideas and then you implement them, and that will bring you success in the future. So that is part of your, intangible resource. And then reputational resources. Okay. So reputational resources is reputation with customers, how reputed you are with your customers. Sorry. And then your brand name. So how well known is your brand name? How people respect and regard your brand name. And then perception of products, quality, durability, and reliability. Oh, thank you. So the perception that your customers have of your product's quality is important. Their understanding whether your products are durable or reliable, and their reputation with suppliers. As you know, we have been talking about the supplier relationship, like how you deal with your suppliers is important. So one of the important intangible resources that you probably have is your reputation with your suppliers, whether you're well reputed with your suppliers and they think highly of you, and whatever you order then is something they really count on. And then for efficient, effective, supportive, and mutual beneficial interactions and relationships. So finally, you need to have an efficient, effective, and supportive, and also mutually beneficial interaction with your customers, with your employees. So that is also very important. So on to capabilities. So just certain definitions of capabilities are forward here. So they are the firm's capacity to deploy resources that have been purposely integrated to achieve the desired end state. So it's actually the capacity, the ability or capability to use the resources that you have available to you in your firms, and then emerge over time through complex interactions among tangible and intangible resources. So your capabilities will be created through a complex interaction among your tangible and intangible resources. So your capabilities will, a lot of times, will be created out of your resources. I mean, your resources help you get those capabilities, because part of being capable of doing something. Is having the resources required to do so. And then when you do have that, then you need the skills and all that to utilize it to be capable of doing something. But the first step is to understand it, is to be able to recognize it, and then, it can turn into capability. One more thing about capabilities is that they emerge over time. We just talked about this. Uh, they are they often are based on developing, carrying, and exchanging information and knowledge through the firm's human capital. So knowledge exchange is really important. So so the knowledge that you exchange helps you be successful, helps you be capable of doing something. So basically, knowledge is really important in being capable of doing something. Then capabilities are often developed in specific functional areas or as part of functional areas. So the capabilities that you have are often developed and created in specific functional areas. And the foundation of many capabilities lies in the unique skills and knowledge of a firm's employees. So the unique skills that you have will give you that foundation for your capabilities and the functional expertise of those employees. And then you need certain functional expertise. Those expertise that your staff, your employees have, they have to be functional. They have to be useful. Okay. So this is just a good example of how we will, put it in paper and with some examples. So let's say we have functional areas, which is distribution, human resources, management information, and marketing. And then what are the capabilities? So for distribution is the effective use of logistics management techniques. So you want to make sure for your distribution you have the right logistics, outbound logistics, to send out your products. And a good example would be Walmart. Walmart is great in having a fantastic logistics in distributing their products. Then the next is the functional area that you're talking about is human resource. And the capability would be motivating, empowering, and training them. So Microsoft Corporation has been a hugely successful company in training their staff and employees with innovative ideas and then motivating them. Then management information systems. So another functional area could be MIS. And then its effective use and efficient control of inventories through point of purchase data collection. So again, Walmart is a good example. Then marketing is effective promotion of brand. Yeah, retain means keeping, means sustain, means keeping their employees. So I don't understand your question. You mean why it's retaining and it's not training? Okay. So this is really important because you train your employees. That's correct, and they become knowledgeable and skillful, and they have that intangible, capabilities. But the thing is, when they do have that, it's important for you to keep them. I mean, there's a lot of times that you spend a lot of money and a lot of resources to train and help the employees become better. But the thing is, right after that, the employees might leave the company. So it's important for you to be able to keep them. I mean, you have a certain policies or certain motivations for them to stay in your company. You don't want to spend all those monies to train them and then they leave you. Yeah, these are just examples. Definitely, training is one other example. Yeah, this is just an example. It's just a simple example for what we've been talking about. I just put that in this order so that we can relate and understand when we say functional areas, when we say capabilities, and then when we say the name of a company, for example, like Walmart or Microsoft, it's easier for you to relate. So that's the whole purpose. So it's not just these and nothing else. There are so many other examples out there. Then marketing, the functional area of marketing, we have effective promotion of brand name products. So Gillette is a good example. The way they do the marketing and the promotions they have, it helps them a lot when it comes to their products and their brand name. Examples of firm's capabilities are effective customer service. So effective customer service, like Nordstrom or McKinsey, all these companies, they're great in customer service, satisfying their customers, helping them to resolve the issues and problems they've been experiencing, and all that. Then we have management. So innovative merchandising ability to envision the future of clothing, effective organizational structure. So for the management, it's important to be able to envision the future, to see where you're going, to have some perspective, because that's what you want to do for your employees. You want to give them that perspective. Unless you have that, you won't be able to give it to them. And then manufacturing, we have design and production skills, yielding reliable products or product and design quality. And then finally, research and development, which is the development of sophisticated elevator control solutions, all that. And then good examples are this Otis elevators. They create prime exclusive elevators, like their I remember once I saw one of these elevator that they would go from level 1 to level 100 something, that tall building, within like few seconds. They were extremely fast, and they are pretty reliable elevators. So research and development is also very important, because as we have discussed before, research and development is what paves the way for you in order to get where you want to go. So it's really important. Okay, so let's just have a quick task for you guys, so that I can make sure that you have some understanding. So just one example of a functional area, and then capabilities and a firm example. So please use your own examples. Okay, so just give me one functional area. It could be any of these that we talked about here. So it could be human resource, it could be management, it could be marketing, manufacturing. So please give me one functional area and then tell us a capability for that functional area and then give us the example, like the name of the firm that you're talking about. Let's say McDonald's. Okay, McDonald's, you're talking about their distribution. So what is the capabilities that they have? You know, so just a simple example. I give you a couple minutes to just work on it, and then we can discuss. I want to make sure that you all are right. Yeah, please take a moment and just write it down. Okay. So let's see what we have. Um, so Mr. Miyako says the distribution Uh, Effective logistics in Afghanistan for Nike company. Okay, that's the name of the company. And we are talking about the distribution. That is effective logistics. Okay, that's good. Then we have human resource, and then product produces new products and packages of services, and the company uses to sell out mobile company in Afghanistan. Very good. Yeah, and then we have here human resource and motivating, empowering, and retaining employees in your organization. And for Mr. Nawabi, we have production, which is new other packages. Okay, very good, very good. How about others? Anybody else wants to share their example? Any other example? Okay, we have some from Mr. Ahmadzai. A company called NUS Business School General Manager Program is designed to offer problem-solving toolkit for functional areas such as corporate and strategy, marketing, and resource finance, accounting, and management. Within the Asian business context, program sharpens analytical skills with a powerful suit for analytical tools that will decision making and optimize the use of resources and all managerial areas. Okay, very well. Very good. Yeah. Okay, that is good. So let's go to the next slide. We talk about core competencies again. So yeah, we have another example here before we go. MIS effective and efficient control of inventories through point of purchase data collection methods and responding to customers' needs. And what is the name of the company, Mr. Biasi, that you are bringing as an example? Ames is the company. Okay, got it. Okay, okay, very good. Thank you. So moving on, core competencies, resources, and capabilities that serve as a source of a firm's competitive advantage. So once again, when we talk about core competencies, we're talking about those resources and capabilities that are source of a firm's competitive advantage. They distinguish a company competitively and reflect its personality. And then emerge over time through an organizational process of accumulating and learning how to deploy different resources and capabilities. So, so these core competencies, they actually get developed over time. So it's not that the core competency is created overnight and you say, okay, tonight you decide this and tomorrow we'll have it. It's different. It should be produced over time, and there is a process of accumulating and learning how to deploy different resources and capabilities. So it's very important to understand that it's not just about you know deciding to have a core competency and having it the next day. It's there's a lot more to it than just overnight creation. So activities that a firm performs, especially well compared to the competitors. So the activities that a firm performs are especially compared to the competitors. and activities through which the firm adds unique value to its goods or services over a long period of time. So there is a long period of time, there's a time gap that firms are able to add unique values uh, to the services. So then again comes this concept of value. We are adding value, and that's all through the process of dealing with uh, customers, products, services, core competencies. That value creation is a consistent method and model in our company or in basically business strategy. It's really important to understand that in business strategy, we are trying to create value, and it is not that we are just selling a product or service, and that's the, the end of our job. It's basically much more to it. We are creating a value for a customer, and that customer, because of the uniqueness of that product, are willing to purchase it, and the way we create that value is our core competency. So that's a way of putting it. Okay. So the four criteria of sustainable competitive advantage. So after all we have done, we finally get to the point that we have those competitive advantages. Okay, now we have a competitive advantage. What is going to happen now? I mean, is it the end and we are done? The thing is, a competitive advantage in itself is not good enough, because the competitive advantage, unless it's sustainable and durable, so it's going to last, it's not going to be useful. So what are those criteria that help us make a competitive advantage a sustainable one? So one is valuable capabilities, help a firm neutralize threats or exploit opportunities. So one of the capabilities that are so valuable to the company is being able to neutralize threats and then exploit opportunities. Then we have rare capabilities, are not possessed by many others. So then getting rare capabilities is also another way, and those are those that are not possessed by many others. Those are unique to your company. Then it's costly to imitate. So we talk about how some other companies unethically will just copycat what we produce, and we got to be careful of that. So one of the ways is that creating a product or service that is not easy to copy. So even if they want to be unethical and copy it, they won't be able to, because it's not easy. So historical is like a unique and valuable organizational culture and branding. So a lot of times the brand in itself brings in that genuinity that is not able to be copied. So when you go and buy a Tiffany product, just the name, just the brand name of Tiffany is good in itself that no other company can copy. It's just a brand name that is attached to the product that you're buying. Okay, Mr. Miyako, which scandal are you talking about? Would you like to share it with the class? Um, I don't exactly know which scandal we are talking about, Mr. Miyako. Could you explain a bit more? Oh yeah, the copying of the products by companies have been a big issue. I mean, there's a lot of debate going on. I mean, when you produce a product and you put it out there, it's and of course you patent it and you have the copyright and everything. But what it is when you're creating a general product, let's say Apple created these tablets that they call them, and they call them iPad, right? So that iPad is a new product introduced by Apple. So what happens is after this new product is introduced to the market, uh, introduced to the market, it's a new product, and a lot of companies would try to make such a product and put their name on it and introduce it to the market. So just producing tablets by other companies is not. I mean, it's a way of following, it's a way of copying, but it's not unethical. I mean, you're just creating that. Like the first time cell phones came out, I remember Nokia and some other, companies were the first to introduce it. But then a lot of other companies tried to come up with that product. Like cars, we have the first car that came out by Ford. Then other companies just try to create same products and call. So. Mm, So there is a fine line. What is it that we call it copying and imitating, and what is it that is okay? So one of the best ways to stop that is to create a product that is attached to your branding. So then that brand in itself will stop people from copying. Then ambiguous cause is the causes and uses of a competence uh, are unclear. So, and then social complexity is interpersonal relationships, trust, and friendship among managers, suppliers, and customers. And then non-sustainable capabilities is like no strategic equivalent. So when there's no strategic equivalent, then it's not possible for you to substitute the capability. Okay. Then value chain analysis. What is it that value chain analysis does for us that we have talked about before in the previous sessions? It allows us and the firm to understand the parts of its operation that create value and those that do not. So the value chain analysis helps us to understand the parts of operation, and then we will be able to create values that other companies cannot create. So a template that firms use to understand their cost position, identify multiple means that might be used to facilitate implementation of a chosen business model strategy. So basically, value chain analysis is a template. Uh, the no strategic equivalent, we mean there is no strategy equal or alternative to what we have. Let's say if Tiffany comes up with a ring or with a diamond on it, which is unique because of their designs and everything. And they use certain marketing strategy to put it in the market. When we say it should be with no strategic equivalent, means that no other company can come up with a similar or equal strategy to market their own products. So when your product or your service has no strategic equivalent, it means it's difficult for others to imitate and copy it. Okay. So, oh, sure. So value chain basically is like a template, and it gives us the cost, it gives us different means that we use to get that business level strategy that we have. So it shows you primary activities and support activities, if you remember, like a product physical creation, sale and distribution, and the service and after sale, and then support activities, which are necessary to support the primary activities. So value chain basically shows how a product moves from raw material stage to final customer. So it's actually a transition from raw material to the final customer. And then to be a source of competitive advantage, as a resource or capability must allow the firm to perform an activity in a manner that is superior to the way competitors perform, and then to perform a value-creating activity that competitors cannot complete. Okay. Any questions so far? Any comments or questions? Okay. Okay, if you remember, we have done this before, the value chain. We have support activities, we have primary activities, primary inbound logistics, bringing in their products, doing the operation, outbound logistics, sending out the products, and then marketing and sales, and then services. And then we have procurement, we have technological development, human resource management, and infrastructure. So let's stop here. I don't want us to go any further. I want to okay. By using this chart, I want you to please explain how your company can attain strategic competitiveness. Okay, so here comes the task that I want you guys to work on for the next few minutes, and then we discuss it in the class before the end of the class. So the components of internal analysis. We talked about internal analysis, and these are the components of internal analysis. So what I want you to do is to use this chart and tell us how your company or firm or NGO can use it to get that strategic competitiveness. So you can use like tangible and intangible resources that you have. You can name a few, and then how they turn into capability, and what are the capabilities of your firm, and then core competencies, how you can discover them, and then how it will translate into competitive advantage, and how it becomes a strategic competitive advantage. Okay? So any questions on the task? Does everybody understand what you're required to do? Okay, is that a yes? Everybody can hear me? No, it's in class, Mr. If you, uh, as you have been attending my classes, you know that in my class, I like to give you assignments. It's not. I don't want a big like explanation. It's like a simple example of each of these would be enough. All I need is to make sure you understand it and you're able to apply it. So the best time of learning is in the class. You know. So I know that you're all business professionals and you have a lot of things to do. Giving you assignments for home is a different matter, but in the class is actually a lot of learning happens when you start doing something in the class. When you get the theories and you apply it into a case or a scenario or a task, it enhances your learning about like 80%. So please take a moment. You don't have to spend that much time, like only like maximum 5 minutes, and then we want to discuss it in the class. And yeah, beautiful. So 5 minutes, take 5 minutes, start on writing it and everything, and then we come back and discuss it together and see if there is anything we can improve to your answer, or it's like how we can change your answer, or how we can explain it to the class so that everybody understands. Okay, so take a moment and let's discuss it. Thank you. Okay, so let's see what you got for your answers. So who wants to start first? Okay, who wants to share his answer? Okay, that's gonna help. The firm is using tangible and intangible resources such as financial, organizational, and resources, its innovation and reputation. You know, it's a strong capabilities of gathering human resources and its management and administrative practices. Okay, very good. So, one way that you could improve on your answer, Mr. Miyako, would be uh, like your intangible resources, such as financial, organizational. If you could like explain a bit more, like even one of them, you don't have to say like so many of them, like one financial intangible resource. Okay, let's say certain financial resource that you have, or let's say the human resource, the certain skill that your company has. Let's say you have the Six Sigma, or you have the certain computer uh, skill for your all your employees. You could say that certain skill or that certain financial resource, and then the innovation part and reputation. You could say like your company is reputed as being one of the best, blah blah. Like what is the reputation of your company? And then when you're distinguished from other companies, you could also mention like how you would say customers think of us as this. Okay, very good. Yeah. So yeah, but for the assignments and tasks, it's very important to make it personalized as possible, because it's your experience that is his question, not the theory. Because in MBA courses, the focus is on one's experience, not on the theory itself. I mean, we all should understand the theory, but what comes out of it is the most important thing. Very good. Thank you. Okay, anybody else wants to share his or her example? Very good. Yeah. Yeah, this is very good. Thank you, sir. Yeah. Okay. Okay, for those of you who haven't shared your examples, and even those that shared their examples, please email them to me by end of the day. I mean, by end of tomorrow. And so next session would be, yeah, Ms. Shukufa is also mentioning her example, competitive advantage like added value and less cost. Okay. I'm not sure if I got your. Mm, explanation completely, Mr. Kufa, because the question was how from resources you get to the competitive advantage. So you're just giving us the final point. Okay, so no worries. You can email me the rest. So this session was the second last session. So next session is going to be our last session. I'll tell you our last session what is going to be expected from you for your final project and about your scoring and everything. So next week is our last session. I'll tell you about the assignments and the final project that everybody needs to submit and the details about it. So if there is no question, we can end the session right now, and I will see you all next week. Yeah, the number of sessions that we do have is actually 10. So this is the session number 9, despite all the cancellations and everything. So we have 10 sessions and plus another session probably for your Q&A. If you have any questions or any parts that you didn't understand, we can have a session for it so that you can ask like your questions if you need any clarifications that you didn't get it through the semester. So we can have an extra session to go over that. But next session we will still have. Yeah, I did send you the presentations, all of them. You have it. I sent you a few weeks ago, and I basically the admin had it from the session 1. They have it on MS, and then I also emailed everyone all those emails. I emailed that Google group that you have, and so you should have all the slides. Uh, who has the slides? Okay. Yeah, I will email you. Okay, no problem. I'll email you. So you have a wonderful week, and I'll see you next week. Sure, no problem. Absolutely.